Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio, and we've got another Aeldari rules drop. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and warcry content as well. Let's take a look at the top 8 stratagems to keep an eye for in the new Aeldari Codex. The huge new Aeldari Codex is available for pre-order this weekend and allows you to build a dizzying array of armies from Harlequins to Corsairs to Ynnari, featuring the fearsome Incarn. It also comes with a whopping 46 stratagems. Here are some of our favorites. So we've already seen a few stratagems. Here are 8 more of 46. So probably going to be a lot that we haven't seen by the time this codex hits. I mean, probably 30 plus. Just looking at this picture here, I'd like to start off with a question for the community. If you are familiar with this terrain or where this has come from, I'm very curious. I have never seen this before. It looks pretty cool, or at least it doesn't look familiar. I mean, I don't know, is this like 3D printed stuff? This bridge and everything? It's very cool. It looks super uniform, so it does not look like the type of thing where somebody has like made one conversion piece and is just kind of showing that off. Based on the actual size of the Wraith Knight here, I'm almost assuming that this is just an actual Wraith Knight made into a statue, but I honestly cannot tell. And then this piece here in the background looks like a different terrain piece than all of these that we see. There's a smaller one right here as well. So yeah, if you know where this is from, or you have seen this before or whatever, let me know. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not buildings cool, but it is a cool little walkway. So just an observation. Pretty cool though. So continuing on. Virtuosos of the Webway. Harlequin troops are great at dancing their way into and out of battle, but sometimes even they can find themselves out of position. Fortunately, they know a few shortcuts. Virtuosos of the Webway. Stratagem for 1 command point. Aeldari. Harlequins make their home in the Webway. None know its portals and tunnels better than they. Use this stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Harlequin unit from your army that is not within engagement range of any enemy models. Remove this unit from the battlefield. That unit is placed into strategic reserve. So that is pretty cool. It appears that the only restrictions on this stratagem are it must be a Harlequin unit and they can't be engagement range. So that is pretty cool. Just right off the top of my head, obviously you can pull something off the table and then bring it back the following turn, just to kind of like relocate it if it's in a vulnerable position. I could see this being really good for a unit of Harlequins that fails a charge. If you have a unit, you charge, fail the charge, there's nothing you can do to make it, and they're like completely exposed and about to get just waxed. You can play this obviously at the end of your movement phase. So after everything goes down, you just basically pick them up so they don't just get picked up by your opponent. So that is pretty cool. Also, as far as if you're trying to stop a key character from getting wiped out and they're in a vulnerable position, maybe it's like you're a commander or something like that and your opponent's going to get a bunch of key victory points for them. You could basically just move them to somewhere completely off the board or pick up a unit to make sure you can score an objective. Definitely has some serious strategic usefulness here. And for 1 command point, your opponent's probably not going to be expecting this. Pretty strong. I like this. Combine this with the Webway Gate to disappear and then reappear right in the heart of the action. Pretty cool. Avengers of Asuryan. We've seen the improvement that Codex Aeldari brings to aspect warriors, but did you know how angry dire Avengers get when you kill one of their own? So we know these have been moved to elites, so I did suspect that they would have some pretty good stratagems and probably some other good stuff as well. Avenger of Asuryan, 2 command points. Aeldari Battle Tactics Stratagem. Dire Avengers and their weapons share an almost symbiotic link. The catapult's capable of sensing their wielder's anguish and punishing their target appropriately. Use this stratagem at the end of your shooting phase. Select one Dire Avenger unit from your army that is below its starting strength. That unit can shoot again. So, criteria to use this: you have to have a Dire Avenger unit that is missing one or more models. 2 command points, and you can shoot a second time. And this is really good too because you don't have to do it at the beginning. You can wait until the very end. So if you're really trying to whack something and you have shot with your Dire Avengers and you shot with literally everything else and you don't have a way to finish it off, you can bust this out. The catapults the Dire Avengers have are pretty good now. And obviously the ability to basically kill anything because of the shuriken rule, then get some pretty good rends in. And then on top of that, you could always use your Strands of Fate die if you need that 6 for the extra rend ability. So definitely could stack some stuff with this. Could be pretty awesome. 2 command points is a little heavy, but for a 10-man Dire Avenger squad, -1 obviously, so you can shoot a second time. So if you have like 9 or 8 Dire Avengers, you get like 20-something shots off. So could be pretty good. I want to say, what are they, 3 shots each? Yeah. With each Avenger Shuriken Catapult, now Assault 3, you can put out some serious firepower. And then if they have a bunch of like other buffs stacked on them, whether it's psychic powers or auras or something like that, they could definitely do a little damage. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Gonna be tough though. I don't know. Those Dire Avengers in the elite slot. Gonna be a lot of competition. War Dancers. Sometimes an enemy unit has an audacity to survive a charge from your Harlequins, somehow surviving an assault from the deadly clown weapons. These stratagems that can help with that. So War Dancers, that's a cool paint job. Man, some of that detail is sick, that freehand. War Dancers, 3 command points. Aeldari Battle Tactics Stratagem. The Harlequins' step and strikes flow into a blur of light as they overwhelm their enemies. Use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select one Harlequin troop until unit from your army within engagement range of enemy units. That unit can fight again. You can only use this stratagem once per battle round. Alright, so use this stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select one Harlequin troop in your army within engagement range of any enemy units. So you have to still be within engagement range, obviously, if you're going to fight again. And it's the end of the fight phase. But we know, and this is 3 command points, so a little expensive, but we know that the Harlequins have a bunch of crazy ways to do massive amounts of mortal wounds. We saw the stratagems they have, and we already know 2 of those stratagems can stack on top of each other depending on what weapons are in the unit. And the way it's worded, it says, use a Harlequin's Kiss Harlequin's Kiss unit or something like that. So we're still not quite sure if the whole unit has to be armed with the same weapons or if just some people in the unit have to have a Harlequin's Kiss. That part we're not sure about, but we know that there's 2 different ways to do a bunch of mortal wounds, and even 2 of those stratagems can stack on top of each other. I think it's not the Kiss and the Caress. They can't go together, but the other ones can. So essentially, you could super buff a unit of Harlequins, fight with them, do a bunch of mortal wounds. We'll have to look at the wording on that though, because I want to say it was limited to like 6 mortal wounds per phase. We'll have to look into that and see how these stack up. But again, very, very good. Obviously, the ability to fight again with extra buffed up weapons or potential of the benefit of stratagems already in effect could be very good. So it's expensive at a cost of 3 command points, but if you've got an enemy unit that has to die, you should warm up for your war dance. So that could be very good. 3 command points is a lot. Again, that could be a good opportunity for something is going to get wiped out that is basically, Eldar are known for being a glass cannon. They're quick, they're good at getting out of danger. There's a couple stratagems here for that as well. But we know that if you are in danger and you need to do that damage before you are, broken, destroyed, wiped out, this is a great way to do it. So the Phoenix Reborn. Phoenix Lords are the ideal choice to build an army around, but that also makes them priority targets. It's a good job that they're hard to put down and even harder to keep down. The Phoenix Reborn. 1 command point. Aeldari Epic Deeds Stratagem. It is fated that the Phoenix Lords will meet their final doom at the Rana Dandra, the final great battle against Chaos. Until that time, they are eternally reborn, rising to fight again. I live, I die, I live again. Use this stratagem when a Phoenix Lord model from your army is destroyed. You can choose to roll 1d6 at the end of the phase instead of using any rules that are triggered when that model is destroyed. So we know obviously some of the Phoenix Lords will have some special rules that are triggered when they're destroyed. You have to forego that. If you do, then on a 4+, set the model back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where they were destroyed and not within engagement range of an enemy model, with a D3 wounds remaining. This stratagem cannot be used to set the same model back up more than once per battle. So you can only use it on each Phoenix Lord once, but if you have multiple Phoenix Lords, you could use it multiple times. You cannot put them back into engagement range. So this is going to be best used on your opponent's turn after they have already killed your Phoenix Lord. And realistically, if you use it at the end of their shooting phase or psychic phase, they're just going to shoot you or charge you and potentially kill you. So really it's for if your Phoenix Lord is destroyed during your opponent's fight phase, you could bring them back and then have a chance to basically act with them on your turn. So that is probably the best way for this to be used. But for 1 command point, it's pretty cheap. Definitely could do a bunch of extra damage or super buff a bunch of your bros or lady bros. While this works on any Phoenix Lord, we recommend using it on Muggan Ra so he can wreak vengeance on anyone foolish enough to try and kill him. Okay, so another comment from GW that literally makes no sense. Awesome. Mocking Laughter. Death Jesters look pretty scary already, but just wait until they start laughing, and yes, they're laughing at you. So Mocking Laughter, 1 command point. Aeldari Stratagem, Strategic Ploy. Often the last thing the foes of the Harlequins hear is the echoing laughter of Death Jesters, taking great delight in their misfortune. Use this stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches of a Death Jester model from your army until the end of that phase. Your opponent cannot select that unit for the Insane Bravery stratagem, nor can they use any rule that would let them re-roll a morale test for that unit. So morale is not particularly great this edition, but this stops your opponent from shenanigans. So if you would have wiped out a unit, I guess, they can't Insane Bravery it to try to save it. I don't know. It doesn't seem particularly great. If a morale test taken for that unit is failed, any action that unit is performing immediately fails. So that is probably the way that this is meant to be used. If a morale test taken for that unit is failed, any action that unit is performing immediately fails. So the best ability for this is to have a Death Jester within 12 inches of a unit that's performing an action. You need to stop that action. You fail to wipe them out. You know, they can't use Insane Bravery, or they automatically fail that action. And then this seems like a very, very niche use and not really that good. Again, I think it's now, what's the morale rules? If you fail your morale test, you have to roll a d6 for each guy in that unit, and then on a 1, that model dies. So even if you failed your morale test, there's no possible way you're passing it. You still, I think it's like a 15% chance that your model dies. So even if you're down to your last guy, it's a 15% chance that model is going to get wiped out. So you're going to pay 2 command points to save him? I don't know. Maybe if you're planning on using some other crazy stratagem to reinforce them or something. Seems very niche. Does not seem that good. The Avatar Resurgent. Obviously, we don't expect them to show us the best stratagems, even though that's kind of what the article is saying, but I don't know. We've seen that the Avatar can go toe-to-toe with the best of the battlefields of the grimdark future have to offer, but even these monstrous shards of Cain can be defeated, which often only serves to make them really angry. So the Avatar Resurgent, 2 command points, Aeldari Epic Deeds Stratagem. The Avatar of Cain is a roaring manifestation of battle rage, single-minded in the destruction of his enemies. Even mortal blows cannot prevent it from slacking its thirst for battle. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when the Avatar of Cain model from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed. Do not remove that model from play. Add 2 to the model's attacks characteristic, and it can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks. After resolving the destroyed model's attacks, it is then removed. Okay, so it's the fight phase. Your opponent gets to fight first. They kill your avatar. You drop this strat for 2 command points. You don't remove the avatar, and then after they're done attacking, you get to add 2 attacks to your avatar's base stats, and then you get to attack back, and then he's removed. So it's a fight on death stratagem basically for the avatar. Pretty freaking cool. 2 command points. In that little deathmatch video that we made where he kind of went through and did everything, I want to say Mortarion was down to his last couple wounds, so obviously you could use this stratagem. Mortarion wiped out the avatar like right before he got an opportunity to attack this final time. So you could obviously pay this for 2 command points and finish off something like Mortarion. That could be huge, or a big tank, or some other key unit. Very good. Obviously your opponent's not counting on the avatar being able to fight. If they take them out, they may spend a bunch of resources trying to make sure that you can attack back, and you can ensure that you do. Use this when someone is fortunate enough to take down your avatar and make them instantly regret these lucky dice rolls. Eldritch Storm. Do they have weather forecasts in the 41st millennium? We're not sure, but thanks to the stratagem, you don't need them to know which way the wind is blowing. So Eldritch Storm is 3 command points. Aeldari Strategic Ploy Stratagem. The Farseer of the Asuryani are capable of generating vast psychic storms that can toss heavily armored troops around like leaves. Use this stratagem in your command phase. If a Farseer model from your army is on the battlefield, select 1 point on the battlefield within 24 inches of a Farseer model from your army and place a marker on that point. In your next psychic phase, Farseer models from your army that are within 24 inches of that marker can perform the following psychic action. Okay. Use this stratagem in your command phase. If a Farseer from your army is on the battlefield, select 1 point on the battlefield within 24 inches of a Farseer model from your army. Place a marker on it. So you pick a Farseer, you pick a point within 24 inches, you place a marker. And then in your next psychic phase, so you do this in your command phase, so now it's your psychic phase of the same turn, Farseer models from your army that are within 24 inches of marker can perform the following psychic action. So multiple Farseers can now perform this psychic action. Empower Storm. Psychic action Warp Charge 5. So pretty easy to cast. Any number of Farseer models from your army can attempt to perform this psychic action at the start of your next shooting phase. So we did this in the command phase. During the psychic phase, a bunch of Farseers empowered the storm with a warp charge value of 5. And then during that same turn, during the shooting phase, you roll 1d6 for each unit within 6 inches of the center of the marker you placed. And each of the Farseers needed to be within 24 inches of that point. Oh, maybe not. Just the initial one. Had to cast it within 24 inches. Nope. Farseer models from your army that are within 24 inches can perform the action. So the point has to be within 24 inches of any Farseer you want to interact with it. The initial one, and then any additional Farseers that are going to empower the storm. So subtracting 2, roll a d6 for each unit within 6 inches of the center of the marker you placed. Subtracting 2 if the unit being rolled for is infantry or character unit. So it's harder to affect infantry or characters, but it can affect anything. On a 2+, that unit suffers a d3 mortal wounds and an additional 1 mortal wound for each time the Empower psychic action was successfully completed this turn. The marker is then removed. You can only use this stratagem once. Okay, so within 6 inches of that point, so it's a 12-inch radius. So you could hit a decent amount of things, but obviously you have a key target you're going after. And then on a 2+, so anything but a 1, or for a character or an infantry, you're subtracting 2 for that. So you need to get a 3 or higher. I'm sorry, 4 or higher, because you're subtracting 2. The unit suffers a D3 mortal wounds, and an additional 1 for each Empower Storm. So the initial Psyker, you use the stratagem and lay it out there. You can empower it with as many Farseers as you want, as many as you have within that range. And then you pump it up to do a D3 mortal wounds and an additional 1 for each Empower. So D3 plus 1, if one Farseer empowers it, D3 plus 2, D3 plus 3, etc. So we're talking about, in all reality, like 2 to, let's say 3 Farseers are able to get within range of it. 2 to 6 mortal wounds on anything within a 12-inch radius. On a, 2+ or 4+ for infantry or characters. It's not bad. I mean, it's not amazing. You would have to really set this up, because you're picking a point. You're getting a bunch of Farseers within range of that point. It's costing you 3 command points. It's still not even guaranteed. I mean, if they're clustered up in a big ball, though, you can hit a bunch of units with this, so it could be good. This is, again, pretty situational. If your opponent is if you have like a big time unit of your opponent's army that's basically like castled up or something like that, some big like Death Star or something, this could be pretty key, because you can basically like triangulate it with a couple Farseers and then just blast it with mortal wounds. So this is pretty good. But in all reality, how many damage are you going to do with just some random smites? So you need to be hitting a bunch of targets with this, and you need to be lining up multiple Farseers, theoretically. But 12-inch area is pretty big, and it's not that hard to believe that you could get 2 or 3 Farseers within 24 inches of a point. So definitely, it's got some potential. 3 is pretty expensive. Use this when your Farseers need to keep the enemy away from a crucial part of the battlefield. Yeah, definitely. An objective, just castle in general, etc. So shield discharge is the next one. The younger races of the galaxy only use shields as defensive tools, but the Aeldari are smarter than that. They can unleash the power of their shields to strike an unsuspecting foe. Okay. So shield discharge. 1 command point, Aeldari Wargear Stratagem. The energy shields used by the Aeldari can set to blast their defensive projections outward, disorienting their foes. So obviously we know the Wave Serpent shield in the past has been pretty awesome. Use the stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one model from your army equipped with a Serpent Shield or Wave Serpent Shield. Then select one enemy unit within 12 inches of that model. Until the end of the turn, the enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. Each time a model in the enemy unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. After using this stratagem, the selected model is no longer considered to be equipped with a Serpent Shield or Wave Serpent Shield. So you expend your Serpent Shield or Wave Serpent Shield, one-time use only, pay the command point. Something within 12 inches of that Wave Serpent or Serpent Shield now cannot fire Overwatch or defend, and it's -1 to hit. So that could be pretty good. Subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll. So I guess if you're charging a strong unit into a bunch of stuff and you know you're not going to wipe it out, this could be pretty good. It is definitely, stopping them from overwatching. Overwatch not that common these days. Could be useful, I guess, against like a heavy tau unit or something like that. Definitely has its uses. The set to defend is pretty good. Taking that away. But theoretically, I mean, if you're charging, you're going to be fighting first. Maybe they have a unit that always fights first or something like that. So you want to make sure that they don't hurt you too bad. Or you're expecting, you have a couple key charges you're charging in. You know you're probably going to get interrupted on one of them. So this is going to make them a little harder to hit you even if they do interrupt. But theoretically, I mean, the Eldar are pretty fragile. So is -1 to be hit going to be enough to stop them from just getting waxed? I don't know. So this could be used use a stratagem on your wave serpent or serpent shield from your storm guardians. Okay, so if you have storm guardians and you have the little platform, that is called the serpent shield. Obviously wave serpents as well. Before sending in your heavy hitting melee units such as howling banshees, striking scorpions, or wraith blades to lay waste to your energy. Phew, and there are 38 more stratagems in the book. Make sure that you pre-order the new Aeldari Codex and a set of data cards so you can easily keep track of your stratagems. From tomorrow, sign up for Warhammer Community Newsletter. Aeldari updates straight to your inbox. So, some pretty good stratagems there. Some a little situational and a little expensive. Some pretty much, a given. If you're taking an Avatar or a Phoenix Lord, you're probably going to be using those. Mocking Laughter, I don't know. I honestly doubt these are the best 8 stratagems from the book. Obviously, this article kind of spins it a little bit, but the fight twice, fight on death, the shoot twice if you're wounded, picking up a Harlequin unit. It is strange how many of these were Harlequin based. I want to say 3 of these 8 were Harlequin only units or only stratagems. So that is kind of interesting, as I don't know how much of the army composition for most people is going to even include any Harlequins. I guess now that they can be blended in with the army, you want to make sure that they're actually good so people use them. But overall, definitely cool. A couple of cool stratagems. I'm very curious about this. If anybody is familiar, is this just a Wraith Knight posed like a statue? Is this terrain available for purchase or 3D printable? Have you ever seen this before? Does anyone have any idea where this terrain came from? That would have been pretty cool. Would be pretty cool. Definitely curious about that. So let me know what you think of these strats. If you are excited, we should obviously be getting the full rules pretty soon here, as Games Workshop will be, removing its silence mandate pretty much once the codex is available. So we will get the full breakdown from everybody on the codexes, etc. I will obviously do it as well, but will be delayed over those that have signed the NDA. Because, obviously I don't get things in advance because I'm not dangling from the berries of Games Workshop like many of these other content creators. But that is beside the point. So let me know what you think. Always curious to hear you guys' opinions. Are there any super combos that you guys saw here that I didn't point out? Are there any mistakes that I made? I am not perfect. I'm not just going to go through and edit out something if I'm just wrong. Sometimes I do make mistakes. A lot of times I catch it or correct it. But, you guys are here for the ride. So, this is still early stages of the channel. So I'm going to make some mistakes. I'm going to misinterpret or understand some things. It definitely happens. So feel free to correct me down below. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just, be cool about it, obviously. So, but that is it for today. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to like and subscribe for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, Necromunda, Age of Sigmar, and warcry content. Let me know what you think. Are any of these looking super strong? We do see, obviously, I had talked about the ability of fire prisms to maybe be able to shoot twice, and the way that strat was worded, or the way that ability was worded, we see here now that there are fight on death, shoot twice, and fight twice stratagems in the book. So is it crazy to think that there will be a shoot twice stratagem for fire prisms, and that you could channel all 3 fire prisms into a single, shoot with it, and then shoot a second time with that awesome bonus from the other 2 fire prisms still in effect? I think it's more probable than it was when I made that other video. So I would not rule that out. And that could be absolutely sickening. If you could basically position one fire prism, shoot the energy with the other 2 into that one. 2 are hidden, 12 inches away, out of sight, no way they could be targeted. The one fire prism's exposed. You basically spend your command points, shoot with that fire prism, ignore invulnerable saves. It's the damage of all 3 fire prisms, and then there's another strat where you can fire a second time with that fire prism, still with that boosted ray from the initial, stratagem. So yeah, maybe it's, the other stratagem was 2 command points for the ignore invulnerable saves, and then all the fire prisms channel together. So maybe it's another 3 command points, and you get to fire a second time with that one tank. So for 5 command points, you get to shoot that thing twice with all the rays of all the, completely powered up, ignoring invulnerable saves. I mean, I don't know that for a fact, obviously, but it seems more likely than not at this point in time, because the way that it said, each time the fire prism shoots until the end of the phase or whatever. And, it specifies the big gun, and it specifies that fire prism, etc. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. It was definitely worded in a way that sounded like you're going to be able to fire with a fire prism more than once. So if you can power that thing up, and then it can double shoot, that thing is going to be nasty and far better than hammerheads. Obviously they don't need the strat to ignore invulnerable saves, but they're one shot. This thing is 2 shots, channel all the power through it, and then shoot twice, ignoring invulns. That could be nasty. So we'll see. Again, just speculation. It's fun to speculate. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch the end of the videos where I speculate. So, but let me know what you think. Does that seem like a possibility to you? Are you super excited of certain units? Any cool combos or anything like that? That being said, that's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.